Hi there, my name is Marla Neufeld, and welcome to the Surrogacy Space. Today, we are joined by Curtin. She is the Executive Director of Single Mothers by Choice, and she also serves some really important roles as a certified women's health coach and founder of Journey Concierge. So, Kat, thank you so much for joining us today.
Pleasure to be here.
Yeah. So I'd love to hear just a little bit about you. Tell us a little about yourself and how you became involved with Single Mothers by Choice.
So as you mentioned, I'm the executive director of Single Mothers by Choice, and I'm also an SMC myself to my daughter Nora, who will be turning
Awesome.
6 this August. I have
Congrats.
a Bachelor of Science in Business Administration from Georgetown University, and also an MBA with a major in marketing and product management from the NYU Stern School of Business.
Awesome.
Um, I always knew that I wanted to be a mother, and I was diagnosed in college with polycystic ovarian syndrome, which is one of the leading causes of infertility in females. And so I knew that age was also a factor in your ability to get pregnant. I didn't have a partner that I was ready to parent with, and realized that if I waited to start trying till when I might have a partner, and I was having trouble conceiving, I would always wonder if the outcome would have been different if I had started earlier. And so ultimately, I realized that I would be okay with not having a partner, um, but I would not be okay with not doing everything I could to have a child. And then I wanted to start trying to have a biological child to also allow time for an adoption path should the original plan not work out. So one night when these thoughts were keeping me up from sleeping, I Googled, and the first result was for the book, the original Single Mothers by Choice book written by the SMC founder, Jane Mattis. And this was the first time that I realized there was a name for what I was thinking about. And even better, there was an organization dedicated to women just like me. So I ordered the book. I joined SMC right at that moment. I attended the New York City meeting that month. And when I met these women carrying their babies or navigating the strollers in the New York City trains, and I heard their stories, it was a very picture is worth 1,000 words experience. And I knew that if they can do it, I can do it too. So I'm grateful I started when I did and had the support of SMC, because my path to motherhood took me on a pretty rocky and twisting journey from donor sperm and 4 IUIs to 2 rounds of IVF, two miscarriages, and a great deal of loss. And ultimately, thankfully, 8 years after I first started thinking about embarking on my path to motherhood, it led to the birth of my daughter via surrogacy using my remaining frozen embryos. And when Nora was born, I was inspired to become a certified women's health coach through the Integrative Women's Health Institute, because I realized how important it is to have an advocate and support as you're going through this. And so I founded my coaching business, Journey Concierge, to provide for women's health and fertility coaching. I also volunteered to become the New York City chapter lead for SMC, and became further involved with the organization when I combined my corporate background and my marketing work with my SMC experience to lead our 40th anniversary event. And 2 years ago, I took the big step to leave my corporate work and take over as Jane's successor and run the organization alongside my coaching business, which is what I've been doing right now.
What an incredible path. And you clearly were impacted by the benefit of the organization. And I'm sure it was a huge support to you when you were going through, you said, years of your own journey. So it's so amazing that this is a resource for women out there. And the organization's been around for a long time, nearly 44 years. Going back to its inception, what inspired the creation of Single Mothers by Choice?
Yeah, so Jane Mattis founded the organization in 1981. So, as I understand it, she was going to be an SMC herself, and she knew she needed and wanted a support group. And the first meeting was a small group in her apartment in October of 1981. And the group grew naturally larger as more women became aware, and then women in other cities found the same need. And recognizing the growth and need, SMC became an official not-for-profit 501(c)(3) in 1983 to support SMCs. And since then, over 40,000 thinkers, triers, and mothers have benefited from membership. And we had over 1,000 members join the 40th anniversary event I mentioned at the start. And therefore, we're really excited to be planning our 45th anniversary event in 2026.
Cool. And for our listeners, what type of support does SMC provide to its members?
So as I mentioned, we cover the whole spectrum of the SMC journey from thinking through to planning. So our members benefit from peer support all over the US and Canada, Europe, and beyond, both through local chapters and or through our active 24/7 online private discussion forums and our newsletters. So like we're really delighted to share like our experiences, wisdom, and resources about single motherhood by choice, including forum topics like thinking, planning, and preparing to become an SMC, donor insemination, adoption, parenting from infants to kids in college and beyond, and dating. There are also like really specific cohorts for things like trying to conceive in the same cycle and for those with due dates in the same trimester.
So, a lot of my listeners are tuning in because they're going through infertility, need assistance from some kind of third party assisted reproductive technology. Like you mentioned, you worked with a surrogate. And I've actually worked with a lot of women that are a part of your organization. That's what made me think to reach out to collaborate on this podcast. But what types of resources does SMC provide, if at anything specific, for infertility and dealing with, kind of like the things that go along with that?
Absolutely. Those are key areas of support since our founding that have only grown with the advancements in fertility treatment options and access. So the majority of our members do choose third-party reproduction options as their path to motherhood, with a smaller percentage choosing adoption. So there are subforums for all these topics within the SMC forums. So members can connect to share knowledge and peer support. Thinkers and triers tend to be the most consistent attendees of our local chapter meetings and also active on our forum. This is where they can discuss their experience with both women at the same stage, as well as mothers who have already completed their fertility journey and can share their knowledge and experience. So in addition to that, we also bring expert advice through sperm banks, fertility doctors, or surrogacy agencies writing in our newsletter and joining as panelists for our events. And in addition, Jane, our founder, offers a very popular small coaching group called the Daddy Question for Thinkers. And shortly, I will be incorporating additional fertility coaching for SMC members through my practice. On a personal note, when I faced the need to learn more about surrogacy after a loss, I didn't know anyone who had done that, let alone an SMC. And the forum was an instrumental tool for me to connect with SMCs that had, had their babies via surrogacy. And to this day, I remember and I'm so grateful for these women who I really didn't know, like other than our connection through SMC, who took the time to talk with me about their experience and just how helpful that was on both like an emotional and a practical level.
I just think it's so wonderful that the organization provides these specific resources and helps people that don't know anyone going through it to empower and educate. So I think that's just an invaluable tool, and one that I benefited as well. Just knowing someone that's gone through something that seems so scary is really important.
100.
So I think that's
Yeah.
absolutely amazing. And I'm curious how it works for, people are all over the country, all over the world, like how the chapters work, how membership works, like how does someone get involved with and in their own community?
Yeah. So as I mentioned, our online forum allows members to connect and talk with SMCs both locally and across the whole organization. And then in addition, we have chapter leads and contact people who volunteer to welcome new members. And they host meetings and events in cities and towns across the world. And then we also provide a member directory to make it easy for SMCs to, connect with people in their local area, you know, directly, like on a one-on-one basis, or, and facilitate those connections, because it's really helpful to, be able to have a wide reach to, find, SMCs, that may have had unique experiences like I did. Not everyone uses surrogacy, so it's maybe a small niche component of the SMC audience. And so having that forum where you can, reach out and be like, has anyone done this? And get, a lot of, get a good breadth of people to respond But also, you want to be able to have play dates and meet people in your area and, have, your kids see families that are just like yours and have that, be normalized. So that's the dual benefit there is, that online connection, but also facilitating the local connections.
Is it a paid membership or different tiers for levels of membership?
It is a paid membership. So we, are a not-for-profit. We run primarily by volunteers. So our membership dues, are low, but we need them to sustain our business. And, membership is available to any SMC, which, we define as someone who is unpartnered and decides to become a mother knowing that at the outset they will be parenting alone. And with membership, you get access to the Lively online forum, which is for members only, and it's securely run on our own servers. So privacy is a real benefit and, something that is a cost for us to provide. And, the wisdom of all of those members, the member directory, and those local connections. And then we also provide discount codes for partners, from partners such as sperm banks, our media, and our events. And so to do, to ensure that we can continue to provide those services, we do charge a membership fee. People can easily go and sign up and go to our join section of our website, singlemotherbychoice.org, and find the membership level that's right for them.
And do you provide guidance to single fathers?
No, our organization is specifically focused on SMCs. We have found that all female environment provides an important level of comfort to discuss kind of the unique experiences that females face on both their road to parenting and while parenting. But we're really excited to see the growth in single fathers choosing this path, since core to our mission is fostering acceptance of all types of families. So we're very excited to see a growing trend there. And I'm, looking and open to figuring out how, as more organizations pop up to support single fathers by choice, how we might partner together in the future.
Being a parent has challenges just inherently. And I'm curious, just what are the added on challenges of pursuing parenthood or being a parent as a single mother that you see and help support?
So some of the challenges we hear frequently is thinkers coming to terms with the fact that they may have expected to be having a child with a partner, and they need to emotionally process this alternative path to decide whether it's right for them and maybe let go of the original plan A vision if they want to move forward and, be in a confident and emotionally empowered place for them to take that step. And so, that's a really important, you know, part of the process and something that SMC really helps to have thinkers give a view into the world and, work through that. Emotionally, also, there can be concerns and doubts about whether the children are going to be okay. And it's wonderful that the research has shown that it's not the quantity of parents in the home, but the quality of parenting that determines the outcomes for children and their well-being. And also, with over 40 years of hands-on experience with SMC families, we see firsthand that the children are thriving. So that's really good to know that, because it's, scary
Awesome.
sometimes when society tells you you need two parents, or you start to feel like, am I enough? Can I do this by myself?
Mm.
And then also emotionally and practically, the fertility journey and pregnancy or an adoption journey can be long, uncertain, and expensive, especially when you're doing it alone, which, can take a toll. And then some practical challenges are finances, which are exacerbated by insurance coverage is often inadequate or non-existent for SMCs. And childcare can be more challenging in places where there's inadequate programs for family leave policies and childcare. And then dating is another practical challenge and or opportunity to consider. And then just the daily life of parenting, comes with, highs and lows, which is really not that different from any other parenting setup, but
Right.
you're navigating it primarily as on your own as and in this the sole person in the household. So all of these are topics that are discussed a lot on our forum and in our meetings.
What is the term you're using, a thinker, within the SMC world, just for our listeners?
Yeah, so a thinker is someone who's thinking about becoming a single mother by choice. And they're not sure if it's the right path for them. And so you could be early on where you're just kind of exploring the idea. Maybe it's in the back of your mind. You're like, would this be right for me? Or you
Mm.
could be further along where you're like, I'm pretty sure that this is something that I want to do, but I'm not, but I'm thinking about when is the right time to do it? How do I want to do it? So, that's the thinking phase. You haven't taken any real action. You're not doing fertility. You haven't, really just, committed yourself to this path yet. And then, although you may have done some steps like fertility preservation steps, maybe you've frozen your eggs, maybe you started to look at like sperm donors, like that's where I would say the thinker trier path starts to move a little bit. And then triers would be defined as people who are actively trying to, become a mother. And that's largely through fertility and or adoption. And then pregnant is you're, pregnant, or in my case, your surrogate was pregnant. And then motherhood from newborn all the way through empty nester and
Mhm.
the decision that you've made for the rest of your life to be a mom. So
Yeah,
we serve that whole
beautiful.
community.
So beautiful. I love it. And just as we wrap up, what would be your parting advice or a piece of encouragement to provide, maybe just in our case, like a thinker that's just considering pursuing this? And if you could just let our listeners know at the end, again, the best way to contact SMC.
Sure. So I would say to think really hard before you make this decision. It's not the path for everyone. And SMC is a great place to learn more, to, see it live, to see what it looks like, which is why thinkers are such an important part of our community. And, as a thinker, really making sure that you, before you move on to your next steps, that you are at peace and happy with your decision, whether it was the same or different from how you envisioned your path to motherhood, really working on yourself and, being prepared to move forward to the next step. At Single Mothers by Choice, we neither promote nor discourage this path because it's a very personal and big decision. And also, my second big piece of advice is to build a support system, because being an SMC does not mean having to raise your child alone. So that's a big thing to remember, is that single mother by choice, it doesn't mean that you're in this alone. Like I like to say, taking the phrase of it takes a village to raise a child. In my case, it took a village to make a child,
Yeah.
and having that village then to take me through the parenting stage that I'm in now is equally essential. And in terms of how best to learn more about us or to reach us and join us, I would go to our website, which is www.singlemothersbychoice.org. Or you can also always reach out to me directly. We'll share my information, or contact our office at
Thank you so much for your time and for sharing your personal story, which I think is just going to be so encouraging to our listeners. You were clearly so shaped by how Single Mothers by Choice helped you, and I'm sure it helps so many other people. And so I thank you for the work you're doing for our community, and just thank you so much for everything.
It's wonderful work. It's a pleasure to do it. I think about it as paying it forward,
Mm.
in the sense of all that I got, and that's That's what I hear time and time again. We have
Yeah,
a volunteer group like no other organization that I've been a part of, because I think everyone who's gone through this journey benefited so much from, the trailblazers, like that I would call, like the people who founded it back in the 80s, all the way through now, that help each next, generation. And
absolutely.
that's what really keeps us going. And that's, what I'm most excited about, is continuing to do that and to grow us even more. So thank you so much for having us,
Thank you,
and
Jen.
for letting people learn more about our organization, and to talk about these, you know, other and, I was going to say new paths to motherhood, but it's not actually not a new path. It's a very accepted and growing and, wonderful way to make a family if it's the right path for you.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you. And I'm so happy to share these resources with our community. So thank you so much for your time.